What is up, you guys? Gentleman Jim here, or Jimmy Henderson of gentlemanjim.com. That's gentleman with a J. Also here on the channel, Gil GTG. I just got back into my little office here. It's not really my office, but the office after the No Kings rally in Washington, D.C., the main stage rally at Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest and 3rd Street Northwest. So there were some 200,000 protesters rallied around a stage in Northwest DC this afternoon, according to organizers of the event. From the main stage, where Mehdi Hassan and Bill Nye and Bernie Sanders, among others, spoke to the crowd that spanned as far as you could see, pretty much up the access ways of Pennsylvania Avenue, 3rd Street, like leading up to 2nd Street. Like everywhere I looked from the main stage, there were just people packed down the roadways. Down the closed streets and everything. But people came from all around the area and beyond. I saw some Louisiana license plates and saw people talking about, hotel accommodations coming in from out of town. They were coming in to protest the administration's overreach on things like immigration crackdowns, the disappearing of community members, detaining of students on their way to school, people that are waiting for work outside of 7-Elevens and Home Depots. And one of the things that stood out to me at this particular event, among the thousands of other, No King rallies today, is this cartoonishly massive divide between what peacefully protesting and showing up in unity with your fellow Americans looks like, and what the administration and its allies have attempted to characterize as anything but peaceful. House Speaker Mike Johnson of Louisiana even called these rally things, he called them Hate America rallies. But there were like some 200 organizations partnered for the event. 50501, the indivisible groups, American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, the American Federation of Teachers, Planned Parenthood, League of Conservation Voters, Move On, Public Citizen, United We Dream, Working with Families, according to The Guardian and the USA Today. Huge organization. The events took place across over an estimated more than 2,500 cities in more than 35 states and the District of Columbia. I came to this rally, which is closest to where I live, but in comparison to the Flag Day No Kings protest and what was the other one called? Free America rally. But compared to those, it was just jaw-dropping equally to see up close and personal the numbers of people out there. So first off, the drive up to the main event that I was headed to, it was peppered with protesters along the town roads and the sidewalks, overpasses, like the sidewalks overpassing in southern Springfield. There's an overpass that cuts over top of I-95 right before the Backlick Road exit. I saw protesters along Braddock Road in western central Springfield and eastern Fairfax, and along overpass walkways over 395 leading into the city. People carried signs out to covered walkways along 495 and along the exits to 495 that said things like "No Kings, Deport Fascism," to cite a few of the signs. The main stage was a bit of a walk from any of the streets that were not already shut down in the immediate area of the rally. I saw people carrying signs and playing songs, protest songs, or just hosting whole dance parties on street corners on the way down to 3rd Street in Pennsylvania. But up and down Constitution Avenue, there were people dancing and carrying big old speakers. When I got to the main stage, people was all I could see as far as I could see, and I'll be putting pictures up on my website on gentlemanjim.com to get a little bit better idea of what the crowd looked like and some of these signs, perhaps a later version of this video as well. I swam through a sea of people, and they were, despite the fact that they're there to protest government overreach, and the things that they were passionate about and against, there was this kind of common purpose of standing up and speaking out, which is their constitutionally protected right to do, but to rebuke the government for overreach and violating the rights of all people that are supposed to be protected in this nation under the Constitution. The unity there, it was an uncanny sort of sense of joy in the crowds. Signs read kind of as you might expect in one of these events. Some were angry, but a lot of them were, common sense, standing up for for our rights as American citizens, but one common thread couldn't help but remind me of the Portland protesters. The extraordinary turnout of costumed protesters, from Mermaid Man to Barnacle Boy. Squidward Tentacles was there, Patrick Starr dancing in one of the block parties with a bunch of percussionists. The Lorax showed up with a whistle to join the percussionists. Reptar from Rugrats was dancing with some of the theropod dinosaurs. I saw an electric unicycle riding Jesus impersonator with a massive, had to be maybe 40-inch JBL speaker with lights on it playing some music, protest songs out of the Bluetooth. I know I heard from one dinosaur toting a little radio flyer wagon with a speaker in it playing this song, Donald Trump is a Convicted Felon by Jonathan Mann. It was just a lot of comical cartoon behavior, and to see that superimposed over the administration trying to mischaracterize these events as anything but peaceful, and especially to call them like Hate America rallies. It's kind of a cognitive dissonance that, if you go to these protests, it's not something that you can really do much but laugh about when you see the difference. Just, further down the road from all of that, a jazz trombonist who met some other street musicians that day at the rally joined in and played some protest songs. Earlier, he had talked about playing songs like This Land Is Our Land, among other patriotic and protest songs. The power of the unifying themes that brought out the protesters from all over the area was apparent. Pretty much every group that was, there was a joy in them seeing each other. Not that they were here to celebrate a joyous occasion, no. But joyful and united seemed to be an imposing kind of force against the creeping threat of authoritarianism and against the backdrop of the jeering or mischaracterization of these events. I can't help but laugh when I turn a corner and see the creativity and the passion in the people. I can't help but get a laugh when I think about getting all the clips that I have from the news lately delivered in a nice tight little package by a comedian like Jimmy Kimmel, as you might see in this shot here. Let me play this for you. Yeah, let's go full screen and check them out. Just
demonstrations will be peaceful unless you're watching Fox News, in which case they will be violent, vicious Antifa riots led by savages who hate America.
I encourage you to watch. We call it the Hate America rally that'll happen Saturday. Let's see who shows up for that.
Their Hate America rally takes place on Saturday.
They're having this Hate America rally.
They have to wait till this Hate America rally is over.
Their I Hate America rally.
This is a We Hate America rally.
We Hate America rally.
Hate America rally.
The I Hate America and I Want to Be a Marxist rally.
We call it the Hate America rally because you'll see the hate for America.
A good one.
Thanks, Jimmy. Well, anyways, just kind of like watching it superimposed over all these cartoonish dancing characters and joyful musicians coming out and just speaking out against overreach and against the stamping down of free speech. It was. I can't think of another way to react to it, and I see a little, I don't know, like a little thread of light in being able to see joy in moments like that. Despite the fact that they're protesting something, quite grave and quite serious that's happening to people. That's the squashing of rights of people in this country. But I am interested in spreading what I've seen at things like these protests. I've been out to them in D.C. since the protests over the killing of George Floyd back in 2020, to those against crackdowns on free speech and government overreach like the No Kings rally today, or the one in June, the Free America weekend. One of the standout performances I saw today, I ran into two street performers and lifetime musicians who only just met for the first time at the rally today in the middle of playing a protest song, apparently, in an impromptu jam kind of near the end of the rally. It highlights sort of the positivity, I think, behind what drives some people out to these protests and drive back oppression. And I want to show you what I walked up on, what they were in the middle of playing when I when I showed up to their little impromptu session. Bow. So you can see the great Poupon guy here, playing music since he was 11 years old. And since he was 7 years old, the guitarist and singer here. You can find that full song on my channel too. But they were a delight to watch perform and listen to the things that they had to say about their experience coming out to the protest and bringing music and what it means to them to bring music as their tool at this sort of event. And they were a little bit later joined by another trombonist, a jazz musician playing the trombone, who wore the sign on his body that said "Singing for Peace." And he had been playing protest songs, he said, from 10 o'clock in the morning all the way up until long after the protest had ended, when the main stage was cleared. And he was jamming with these two guys that met, and they played a little Herbie Hancock, which you can also find on the channel, but I'll share a little bit of it with you right here, which, I just thought was kind of nice to have a little jazz.
Street musicians at the No Kings protest met each other today at the event. I'm about to do a little Herbie Hancock.
So there you have it. You come out to one of these far left Hate America rallies and you might get bit by the jazz bug. I'm going to let him play us out. Thanks for joining. Get out there, be heard, and unify with people in your community. The people united cannot be divided.